All right, so if you go to a church that is not quite there with virtual, I am giving you some tips on how to stay virtual or your church to stay virtual. So you may be a member, your pastor may not be on social media, but that's okay. We want to make sure that we get the information to the churches because they have to stay in business too. The reality is that churches are businesses and they must stay in business too. And so we want to keep those smaller churches in business. And so whether they have a smaller congregation as low as one or two or as large as 5,000, they may not have the budgets to really do a lot of the what mainstreams are doing right now as far as streaming, but there are some simple tips that they can do to really get their virtual services going or teleservices going so they can stay in business, because it's very, very important that our churches stay in business. They do our communities a wealth of good, and they are the foundation of a lot of our lives. And so we need our smaller churches to stay open, just like the mega churches as well. And what I'm finding is that a lot of the smaller churches are not prepared for closure. They're still asking people to come into the churches, which is dangerous right now with this pandemic. We need them to quarantine, but we also need them to be able to keep their members. What's happening is those members, if they can't connect with their churches, they're going to other churches. Now every church is live streaming, so you can go to whatever church you want to. But we need our churches, our home churches, to have the same type of presence and the same type of availability to be able to give to them so they can stay open. The pastors, some of them are full-time pastors, so their pay is reliant on our tithes and offering. It's a business, and that's just a reality. So I wanted to share 5 virtual business tips for churches. Again, if your church is not on social media, please share this video, share this information, or share these tips with them, because it is laid on my heart on a Sunday to be able to share this information to churches, to pastors, to anyone who is starting a church, has a new church, has a small church. Okay. Tip number 1, maintain your regular schedule. Okay. So if you have Bible study on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and you have women's meeting and men's meeting and usher board and all that stuff, maintain that business. I'm going to tell you how, but maintain your schedule, because as soon as you break the schedule, that's when people start getting lax and lazy. Well, if we're not having Bible study now, they're still going to want Bible study, but they're just going to go someplace else to get the Bible study that they need. So maintain that Bible study, maintain that schedule as much as possible, or figure out what has to be kept on the schedule. Bible study, church services, Sunday school. Figure out what your mandatory schedule should be and maintain it and keep it. Okay. Number 2, you normally, I used to get phone calls from my deacons. I don't get that anymore, but my main church in Atlanta, Georgia, they do call me on my birthday, and one of them did check up on me to make sure how I was okay during the pandemic. So utilize the phone. You have your deacons, have them get the whole list of the membership that they're responsible for, ushers or whatever, and call those members. Call your membership roster. Check on them. How are they doing? Is everything okay? How are you making through this pandemic and quarantine? Are your families okay? Do you need a special prayer request? But most importantly, ask them for their email address. Hey, we're trying to update the information. Can we get your updated email just in case we have any updates or need to relay information for you? Because a lot of people are reliant on email right now. So make sure you have email, and I'm going to explain to you why that's important in just a few seconds. So call them, get your whole membership roster. Hopefully you have a membership roster. Break them out from the deacons or break them out. Look, most people don't have anything to do anyway. So now it's time for people to start doing some telemarketing work for their churches, and just calling, just as, just want to check up on you, make sure everything's okay. Do the birthday wishes if it's around this time. Ask them for their prayer requests, but most importantly, get the email addresses, update the email addresses, update the contact information, update the addresses, just to make sure that you have everything updated. And if you find that the phone numbers are disconnected or it's the wrong phone number, now is the time to reach out on social media and try to find and connect with your members via social media as well. Okay. Step number 3 is embrace and leverage virtual. Embrace and leverage virtual. A lot of people are doing that right now. I'm doing it right now. I'm Zooming. I'm also streaming live on Instagram Live, YouTube Live. I'm doing that all at the same time. So you can leverage it. A lot of people are doing streaming the church services, which is great. You can get a phone and you can get a camera and stream it on social media. You can do that. The other thing is do a teleservice. One of the churches that I attend in Milford, they did a teleservice, which is a teleconference call. And so everybody called in and the preacher preached and they had a service online. My grandfather loved it. Okay, especially for those people that can't get out, whether it's a pandemic or not, they just can't get out the house. Do the phone call. You can do 1-800, I think, conference call or something like that. Make sure you do that. You can do email, send out emails and check on everyone. How are you doing? What is your prayer request? You can send text messages. I may not read my email, but I am going to look at my text message. This is your church. We're just checking up on you. I use Easy Texting for a texting service. It's really cheap. So you can text your members and let them know, hey, these are our updates. This is what we're doing. This is the conference call number for the church service. We're streaming live here. So make sure you stay in communication with your parishioners, with your congregation, because they want to hear from you. They want to stay connected with you. Number 4, this is the biggie. Number 4, make it easy for your members to pay you. Okay? Make it easy for them to give you their tithes and their offerings. So many churches are making it so difficult for us to tithe them. For example, I want to tithe the church that I attend in Milford, but if I can't get there, there's no easy way for me to pay them. And I'm not going to write a check and I'm not going to mail the check. Just not going to do it. So if you don't have a virtual way for me to capture your money, then it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So the best thing you can do is make it easy, whether you set up a Cash App for them, whether you set up a PayPal. You can do a PayPal Me. You can, and the PayPal Me actually allows you to do a QR code so people can scan their phone and they can pay it. But you want to make it easy for people to pay their tithes and offering. There's people that are still getting paid that still want to pay their tithes. And what's going to happen is if you don't make it easier for them to do it for you, they're going to send it someplace else or to another church that they're being fed from online through virtual. So make sure that you are making it easy for them to do that. Okay, so just to recap before I give you number 5, just to recap, you want to maintain your regular scheduled program, or at least you have an emergency schedule. That's your Bible study, your Sunday school, your church services. Maintain that schedule. You want to stay in touch with your members. Break out the membership roster, call these people, check on them, make sure they're okay, get their prayer requests, but most importantly, update their contact information, update their birthdays, update their addresses, and most importantly, update their email addresses, okay? Number 3, we want to do this virtually, live stream. Email, that's why you got the email. I use MailChimp for my email services. It's free up to 2,500 emails. So you can leverage that, send announcements, remind people of services or remind them of certain things. You can send birthday wishes to them as well. So make sure you do that. Text them. I use Easy Texting. You can text them as well. Do teleconference calls and for your services, Bible studies or whatever if you don't do live streaming. Now, I believe, number 4, make it easy for us to give you our tithes and offering. I don't care if it's PayPal, Cash App, Square, whatever it is, make it easy for us to give you our tithes and offering. And last but not least, the most important thing is to have a professional, responsive website for people to go to. That's where you can house your live streaming. That's where you can house people to be able to pay online. That's where you can house information for your members. You can have a membership site. You can get new members. You can get new members virtually. You can have that. And most small churches, they don't have a website, or they have a website that is not responsive or able to provide those streaming or payment services. Now, if you need a website, I am doing an offer through one of my businesses called SRJ Websites, and we're doing 50% off for all churches that need a website. So if you need a website, or you know a church that needs a website, I'm giving 50% off of websites just so we can get them started and get them in a position where they can stay in contact with their members, stay on a regular schedule, leverage the virtual environment that we're in right now, make it easy for people to give to them so they can still pay the bills, pay the pastor, and still keep open. Because after this pandemic, we really need these small churches to still be open. They're in a church, no one's coming to it. They still have to pay rent. They still have to pay utilities. They still have to pay the pastor. So at the end of the day, a church is still a business that must be run, and they need our tithes and offering, which is their capital, to continue to run it. So hopefully these tips have been very helpful for you. Please make sure you share this with as many church people as you can, the pastors, the bishops, whatever it is, and hopefully they will find value. And if you don't use me for websites, that's cool. Just get a website up and going that is professional looking, responsive, easy to use, and allows you to accept payments as well as stream live, so you can get people to continue to stay in your virtual church as well as your physical church. Those are my virtual business tips for churches. Hope you like it, enjoy it. If you did and you're watching a replay, make sure you hashtag replay and make sure you share it with as many people as possible. I'm Tara Jackson, aka Madam Money. Thank you so much. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And oh yeah,